What if I told you there's one thing almost every woman wishes you'd do? One thing that could completely change the way she feels about you. But she will never, ever say it out loud. It's not what you might think. It's not about gifts, grand gestures, or chasing some impossible romantic checklist. In fact, it's so subtle that you might have already missed it 100 times. But once you learn it, you'll realize interactions, relationships, and dates were never the same again. Let's dive deeper. Imagine you're on a date. You're at a cozy cafe. The lighting is just right. The conversation is flowing. There's a moment, a pause. Maybe it gets a little quiet. You might panic, scramble for something clever to say, or worse, default to a generic compliment about how she looks or what she's wearing. She smiles, says thank you, and moves on. But under the surface, there's something else she craves, something she's hoping for that she will never ask for directly. I don't mean forced compliments or robotic "I understand" responses. I mean paying real attention, zooming in on something she says, something she does, something she feels, and reflecting it back so she knows you genuinely get it, not just hear it. Let's break this down as naturally as possible. You're having a conversation, and she talks about a stressful day at work, maybe some conflict with her manager, or maybe she's excited about a random new hobby you barely understand. Pause, reflect, and instead of interjecting advice or shifting the topic, you simply say something like, "That actually sounds pretty rough. I can see why that would get to you." Or, "That's so cool you tried that. Most people would be way too nervous. Did you feel nervous trying it, or just excited?" Now, if you're listening and thinking, that sounds too simple, like just listening and saying it back, here's why it works. Instead, what stands out is the guy who actually listens, tunes in, and lingers just a little longer in what she's feeling. For example, let's say she tells you she's nervous about an upcoming presentation. The never spoken out loud wish is for you to listen. Take a beat and show her that her feelings aren't weird or awkward or something to rush past. You might say, "Honestly, I'd be nervous too. But the way you're talking about it, I can tell you've got this under control. You always prepare more than you need to, so whatever happens, you'll handle it." Suddenly, instead of feeling dismissed or brushed off, she feels reassured and seen, because you noticed the effort she puts in and cared enough to say so. Now you might ask, why don't women just tell you what they want to hear? Why keep it a secret? It comes down to vulnerability and self-protection. No one wants to seem needy, demanding, or high maintenance. If she tells you she's watching her favorite movie for the 10th time, don't just say nice or cool taste. Instead, ask her, "Wait, what is it about that movie that makes you come back to it?" And if she answers, tease out what it means to her, or relate genuinely. Show that you're curious about her inner world, not just her external hobbies. Suddenly, you'll find she opens up more, gets more animated, and starts to connect with you on another level. That's because you're validating not just her interests, but the feelings and meanings behind them. But there's more here. If you're listening to this and still thinking, "Okay, so I just have to listen better," it's even more subtle than that. It's not just about listening, it's about being present, responsive, and reflective. Let me give you a totally human example. Imagine you're watching a friend play a song on guitar. He fumbles a note, laughs it off, shrugs, and keeps playing. What you're doing is highlighting something she might not even appreciate about herself, or something she's insecure about. You're saying, "I notice you." Not the polished front you present, not the surface story, but the person underneath. And the beautiful thing is, she'll remember those moments. She might not even consciously realize why she feels so good around you, or why her guard is down when it's just you two talking. Let's flip it for a second. How many times have you heard someone say relationships are all about communication, but never explain what that actually means? Communication isn't just talking at each other. It's creating a loop where the other person feels safe to bring out different sides of themselves. By doing this one thing, listening for feelings behind words and validating them without rushing to solutions, you're signaling, I want to know you, not just be around you. Also, if you're ready to fast-track your success, check out my new course in the description or comments for exclusive strategies. There's a reason so many women say, it just felt easy talking to him. The easy is being understood without judgment or correction. Let's talk about a few examples you'll run into in real life. You're making plans, and she texts you her preferences. Maybe she says she's not big on spicy food or prefers chill places over noisy ones. Most will acknowledge her opinion, but gloss right over it, treating it like a logistical detail. But what if you took it a step further? Maybe you respond, got it. I'll find something with great food and good vibes. Never felt like the loud bar type anyway. Or you remember later and make a small reference. You pick a place, and when you show up, you say, I know you're not into spicy food, so I called ahead to check out their menu. It's subtle, but what you've really done is say, what matters to you matters to me. Or imagine she tells you about something bothering her, maybe an issue with a friend or work. And here's a deeper layer. Sometimes women will test how safe it is to open up more by sharing small things at first. If those small things are passed over or met with generic responses, she's less likely to share bigger or more vulnerable parts. But if you get the little stuff, if you notice tiny details, like her mentioning her favorite childhood snack out of nowhere, or an offhanded comment about a family quirk, you become the rare person she wants to tell more to. This is where emotional intimacy is built. Step by step, layer by layer, she realizes she doesn't have to spell herself out for you. You're already paying attention. So how do you make this a habit, and not just a one-off trick? Start by genuinely being curious. Assume that everything she shares has a reason behind it, even if it's small. As she tells a story, look for what she's feeling, not just what happened. If she seems excited, match her excitement. And that's why the person who does, even just a little bit, stands out 100 times more than anyone else. Let's talk about the flip side for a second. Maybe you've tried this before, and it went unnoticed. Maybe you listened carefully, reflected back, asked questions, and the response still felt cold or ambiguous. Here's the hard truth. It's not always instant. Sometimes people have walls up after years of being dismissed or misunderstood. But here's what sets you apart. You're consistent with your curiosity and attention. Over time, the barrier comes down. That's something your average person won't have the patience or intention to do. But if you do, you're alone in a sea of mediocrity. Let's address something else. This isn't about faking interest just to get something you want. True validation means you're willing to see someone, even if it doesn't lead to a romantic win. The point is not to win points or score attention, but to create honest, resonant connections. They're the small, quiet acknowledgments, remembering the name of her first dog, the story behind her favorite necklace, the comfort she feels with her morning routine. These are the things she probably won't even notice you picked up on, but they form the invisible glue that bonds people together. You might have heard that phrase, it's the little things. It's not just a romantic cliche. In reality, it's the only thing that persists after the passion and infatuation fade away. When someone feels truly seen, who they are underneath, the way they think, the little habits and hopes, that's what creates lasting affection. So next time you're with her, try this. Pay attention to her energy, her expressions, the way her mood changes as she talks about different things. Zoom in, not with cheap lines or empty reassurances, but with honest interest. If she lights up when talking about her art, but gets quiet about family, notice that shift. But watch what happens over time. She becomes more open, more vulnerable, more comfortable, unapologetically being herself with you. She'll never spell it out, but her actions say it all. She responds faster. She initiates. She shares more. Why? Because you've done the one thing most people never pick up on. You made her feel seen and validated in ways she couldn't ask for, even if she tried. That's the thing 99% of women crave, but almost none will ever tell you directly. It's not about grand gestures, seduction strategies, or being a mind reader. It's about showing up, tuning in, and caring enough to validate the small details of who she really is. It's a secret hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who's willing to listen, reflect, and remember. Someone who wants to know her, not just have her around. And in the end, that's not just what women want. That's what we all want. Thanks for watching. If you want to get the results you wish for fast, then check my limited time offer on my new course, which will skyrocket your success in dating. Click the link right now down below in the description or in the comments and grab this opportunity. See you in there.